I don't eat no ham and eggs, but the high in cholesterol. Hey, don't fight it, do you eat 'em? No tip, do you eat 'em? Not at all. I don't eat no ham and eggs, but the high in cholesterol. Jerome B, do you eat 'em? Nope. Shot, do you eat 'em? Nope. Not at all.
So the book I read was The Surprising Power of Family Meals by Miriam Weinstein, How Eating Together Makes Us Smarter, Stronger, Healthier, and Happier. I thought this book was pretty interesting. Generally speaking, she approached this by kind of looking at a variety of research out there, the ton of research out there that illustrating the positive effects of eating together and the correlative factors of people eating together. And also just did a lot of research anecdotally, looked into patterns within our society, and also kind of community initiatives addressing some of the concerns that communities are sharing around the lack of family connectedness. And so a lot of interesting information came through her book that it's pretty clear that youth are, if they eat more often with their families, they're less likely to use drugs. Eating disorders are less likely. Suicide ideation and actually suicide in general happens less often. Kids are less violent. Kids are less stressed out. They're healthier. They eat better, and they're less likely to engage in early sexual behavior. That's pretty wild. That just eating together can do that. The problem with some of the research out there is that it is correlational, so it's hard to tell exactly if eating together specifically is causal in any way, shape, or form. That being said, I think the content was pretty positive and helpful to the layperson as far as reading goes. It was definitely meant for anybody and everybody who's a human being in the Western world that is concerned about family mealtime or values family mealtime and how to consider it. She talks a lot about our increase in kind of structured activity in our society and how it's really taking away from our time together. She illustrates a stat that in 1981, about 40% of kids' time is available, is kind of open and not scheduled, where it's like about 25% now. So, 1997, so I don't know what it is today, but that's what she pointed out then. Just kind of illustrating the fact that we're just scheduling more and more and more and more, and it's hard for people to even make time to do this. And so she talks about strategies as well. So different strategies that people can do to make time. Also considering different times of the day to make this happen. And some of the struggles that she illustrated for some folks is that kids don't want to do it, but she challenges people to give it a month and work their way in towards expecting this from their kids as far as eating together, and then really at that point probably seeing how it will actually work. She talked a bit about in early life how conversation with your children is more likely to influence language acquisition than actually reading to kids. So that was pretty interesting, and how having conversations at a mealtime is a perfect environment for those kinds of things. Overall, yeah, I think it was a pretty good read. I would definitely recommend it to others to read and consider. I think eating together is important. She talks again about kind of the climate of a family meal, considering the use of television, eating in an automobile, or using technology, and the importance of facing each other, and how all these technology distractors really take away from this experience, which makes sense. But those acts, and she also pointed out some research to show that when somebody's eating like in front of a television, they're more likely to eat a lot more and not really regulate their eating. So not only does she talk about the social factors and nutritional factors, she also talks about community initiatives that uh, people are trying to put together to make these things happen. About um, and how it is really a community issue. It's not only something that individual families need to consider because of their benefits, but our society is kind of pressuring people to um, just pressuring people to get just pressuring people to stay on the schedule and keep up with the Joneses, to be able to help their kids participate in particular activities, and how that's potentially dangerous and maybe even to young people, considering the outcomes of lack of these kind of experiences and connecting this with kids, and if their parents are, and what kind of quality of life is that as well. So kind of some pretty interesting stuff that people are trying to do out there in certain parts of the world. But yeah, generally pretty motivational, pretty interesting. I dig it. Let's eat.